Anorak, thank you for joining me today in this recording. You're one of those guys who I kind of met pretty much first when I started in Decentraland. I think this was in March, April last year. And it's just good to see that so many new people came in, but there are still familiar names, familiar faces here in Decentraland. So a quick welcome. I think this is going to be a 45 minutes conversation. Thank you for taking the time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's crazy to think that that's already been almost an entire calendar year. You say March or April, and we're already in February. It's crazy, but yeah, like you said, it's a lot of people that you met back then that maybe they're not everyday participants in Decentraland and stuff, but we all kind of still revert back to our home NFT project from time to time.
Well, man, this is a great introduction to actually my first point that I wanted to talk about, man. Like, there is something going on in the metaverse right now that people are changing their usernames, they're changing their YouTube channel names. And I must say, I'm surprised you are not here with a different name. Like, I was expecting NFT Anorak or something like this, but you are still DCL Anorak. Tell me, man, what is this strive for going beyond Decentraland and trying to conquer all of the NFT projects, or like what's the thinking there? Because you have, I think, done that recently, but you're not the only one. I think this is a general trend.
Yeah, so I changed it, and I actually had my Twitter before I found Decentraland, and it was in 2017. It was like a cryptocurrency trading channel, and I'm sure if someone goes back far enough, they're going to see me, calling for longs on Verge and all of those other crappy coins from way back when. So I changed it from, I can't even remember what it was, to DCL Anorak, and at the time, Decentraland was just about the only NFT project, or really one of the only active markets. And I created the username in 2018, sometime in like Q3 or Q4 of 2018, and it was about the only thing I was doing. It was the only project I was really involved with, so it felt fitting. And then I as I started to branch out more and more during 2020 and find these other projects and stuff, I kind of found myself, or I had the feeling that I was being limited and kind of boxed in, especially when I would talk to other companies and projects and stuff, that no one ever came out and said it directly, that they didn't want to work with me, or that they had an issue with my name being something that referenced Decentraland, which in some cases were direct competitors with these other people and projects I was trying to work with. And no one ever came out and said anything to me about it directly, but I always got the feeling that there was a bit of a wall there and a bit of resistance to work with myself. So I decided to make the change myself. I've noticed some others doing it. I can't really speak to their motives. I would assume that they probably are closely related to mine, but it's, for myself, it's by no means a deviation or a separation from Decentraland. It's just an attempt to be more inclusive. And I'm sure at some point I'm going to have to change it from NFT, because if NFTs blow up and we don't call them NFTs, well, then someone's going to come across my name. They're like, okay, cool, I like these projects, but what the hell is an NFT? I want to hear about digital assets or something. So I don't really think that I don't think that the Twitter handle is going to be like a concrete thing. I think I might always be updating it, but yeah, the motives behind this recent change was just to be more inclusive to the entire NFT space.
Man, after you changed it, NFT Plaza, kind of, they also changed it from DCL Plaza, I imagine. I think Matty did a couple of rebrands from DCL Blogger to Matty. I was like, is it time for me to drop it as well, man?
Oh, oh yeah. I think NFT Plaza stuff was similar. I'm surprised he didn't go to like Metaverse Plazas or something. But I think he, I don't want to speak directly for him, but I think that Rio shared some of those same sentiments, where it was like, man, like, I really, really like the DCL stuff and I don't want to rebrand and everything, but at the same time, it can be a roadblock when you're trying to work with some other companies. So I feel like his switch was probably related to mine.
Because honestly, I have a very small channel, and it takes a lot of time to kind of slowly develop it and win over a small audience. And I'm trying to stay on topic, really just talk about Decentraland. But increasingly, it's just not as interesting, and there is just not enough momentum in this tiny space to kind of have enough material to talk about, right? Or you really get into like tutorials, into technicalities of the platform. So at some point you feel like you want to expand, and you really have like either the NFT space or like some kind of technical development. I mean, it's I don't know. I also like I feel like I want to expand a little bit further. You have amazing interviews with Digital X, with Animoca brands, with like async art. I mean, those are really, 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 really good. Can you, from your heart, tell a little bit what this content creation search or positioning or journey like has been for you, and if you have come to any kind of intermediate conclusion on where to take it next?
The YouTube channel was designed initially to be like an introduction for Decentraland because I kept getting the same questions from new users in the Discord. So I was like, oh, I'll just make these how-to videos, and then I can send them to these people when they ask me questions. Well, kind of like you were saying, eventually you run out of content if you're focused on one project, especially if that one project is in still like a beta form where there's not constant things being rolled out and things are being worked on still. So um, it kind of developed from there where I think it started with digital art, and there's just some really interesting stuff going on, but it was still kind of tied to the metaverse because you have the art galleries and stuff like that. And then from there, I got people commenting like, oh, can you review this? And can you check out this project? So I was like, all right, there's an appetite here for what I'm doing, but I'm not really serving the right dish. I need to kind of change up the menu and add some new items to the menu so I can attract more people in. And I think it worked, but I think that still my biggest hits are Decentraland stuff, just because that's the core of my user base. But lately, I've been getting into some Top Shot stuff. Try and do interviews from time to time, but the interview stuff it's tough for me because I want to inform while keeping people entertained. And when you have guests that you're interviewing, I think that all of the ones that I've had have been great, but I think sometimes it's tough to get guests to like keep the interest of people listening. And albeit no fault to their own, it's just maybe they're not providing some of the information people want to hear. Like, okay, great, understand what your project does, but how do I make money off it? How do I profit? How do I get my hands in the game? So I think interviews are kind of tough in that manner. So I try and do more just like reviews and personal stuff, but from time to time, there's always someone that I get a chance to interview, like Yat Sui, and I know people have their own opinions on Animoca or Animoca brands, but I mean, my goodness, the guy was just named top 100 people in crypto by CoinDesk or Cointelegraph, whoever came out with it the other day, and I got to interview him on my channel. And when you get someone like that, you can't really pass it up. So, yeah, like him and the Digital X interview was amazing. Emma's one of the smartest people I think I've ever talked to. So the YouTube channel is just meant to, I guess, kind of encompass as much as possible, but within kind of what I like myself. I don't really chill anything that I don't personally invest in, and I don't put out content like just to put out content when it comes to reviews and stuff. Like if I don't see anything interesting, I don't think I'm going to force it. Um, Obviously, the interviews are a bit different, but yeah, that's kind of been a development of mine lately. Is I don't want to force content because then it's bad.
Because Matty put out this tweet, I think, before yesterday. I don't know, like it was completely out of context, but it said, don't overthink it, just do it, and then get feedback and iterate. And it just was like this single tweet, and it came up in the very early morning when I woke up, and this was the first thing I've seen, with the whole Twitter addiction thing. I was like,
Mhm.
he's so right, because at some point, I think what he started doing is just, I mean, he just goes on video, talks about the project, doesn't edit at all. He puts it online and he moves on with his life.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Maddie here from DCLblogger.com.
And his audience is exploding. And then you have like guys like me who in the beginning were editing each single video for hours and hours.
I do the same thing. That's one of the craziest things to me about Maddie, and I've talked to some other people about this too that are in kind of content type side of things with this, and I think it's crazy that Maddie doesn't edit his videos.
Maddie here.
Like, I'm so paranoid about myself doing something stupid or just kind of stuff being subpar that I have to go back and re-listen to everything, and I edit and I'll listen to stuff a couple times over. I don't know. I guess it's my my OCD or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think Maddie's crazy for not editing videos, but it works for him. You're right. It works for him.
Can you speak a little bit about other places to go to while we're waiting for the platform to mature?
Yeah, I think there's just about a project for anyone right now. If you like art, you can go and kind of check out some of the digital art. There's the Nifty Gateway stuff, and Nifty Gateway is incredible. It's like this super fast-paced auction style website where if you're lucky enough, you can buy some piece of art for $1, and 20 minutes later, you can sell it for 6,000 or 8,000. Then there's different types of stuff you can collect. Just if you're a someone who appreciates art. I myself, I don't really get into the digital art stuff all that much. But then there's other things that are going on. I know NBA Top Shot. I've been really involved in that lately, but I would kind of hold off on that as well because they're having the same growing pains that a lot of these other projects are. I think really right now the most polished game is still Axie Infinity when it comes to kind of jumping in and within 5 minutes you can start playing and you can play for hours with no issues. But even Axie is it's an unfinished product. They still have their metaverse and their land gameplay and everything. So right now it's I think wherever you go you're going to be met with some sort of alpha or beta process and then obviously whatever underlying issues come with those. But I think for the most part that if people want to get involved right away, there's items and projects that can be flipped and stuff, but it's really risky to get involved with, especially if you're just starting out in the NFT space. And I would just advise someone to out there who's wondering where they should get involved is just take time to research the different projects and find what interests you and then go from there. For me, it was Decentraland because there was so much action going on. There was the land flipping, and there was this whole like kind of aura, and I guess I don't know what the right word is for it, but like this anonymous feel or this speculation feel of like, and this is going to be big. Like this is the metaverse stuff. You know, we had Ready Player One coming out, and we have all these movies that depict what we expect this thing to be, and everyone was so excited about it and wanted to be as close to the project as possible. And I would never be in the space I'm in now, or the position I'm in now, where I'm getting thousands of views on YouTube and stuff like that if I hadn't just become part of the Decentraland community. I really liked being around the Discord, and from there you meet new people and they tip you off to this project and you should check this out. I'll just recommend that just find whatever project interests you the most and just dive deep into it. And from there, you're going to get exposed to different projects and things along the way. But if you just constantly scroll through the internet and you're looking for like the perfect option where you can make profits, you're probably not going to find it. And if you do and you're just starting out, then you found it too late. So I would just say find what you like and roll with it. And the NFT space will kind of reveal itself from there.
Have you used Somnium Space and CV?
So yeah, I use Somnium and Cryptovoxels. I have not used Somnium in VR though, which is obviously a big, I guess, fault on my part. So I can't really say that I've experienced the full service that Somnium has to offer. But I'm sorry, what was your question about those two in comparison to Decentraland? I won't hold back. Don't worry.
Honestly, like I feel like a traitor speaking about other platforms, that are somewhat competing with Decentraland. But frankly speaking, the way that the community discusses the metaverse, it feels like we don't need to make a distinction between the different worlds. It feels like it's all one big place with little
Gotcha.
niches, right?
Mhm.
So if it's like that, then like I try to go to CV and try to like explore it. And I don't like the graphics at all. And I find it super unattractive to be in that world. But everybody is like loving it. And the
Mhm.
meetups and the pictures and the screenshots from the meetups are like on fire. And I was like, what am I missing?
Yeah.
Can you explain this?
No, because I have the same feelings that you do. But I mean, there's people out there that say the same thing about Decentraland graphics and stuff. But I've never understood Cryptovoxels. The only reason I've ever got involved in Cryptovoxels is because I have such respect and admiration for their community. It's such a tight knit, supportive bunch, especially throughout 2020 and the early stages of 2020. But it was just such an attractive community. There's so many amazing and talented builders and artists and content creators, and it was just something that I wanted to, I guess, be close to and kind of experience for myself. Because I mean, at the time, I mean, it was only like 10 months ago, but at the time, there was hardly anything going on in the NFT space. Like the metaverse, the different blockchain based metaverse projects were like driving the content for the better part of 2019 and into 2020. And then digital art kind of took the baton and went from there. And Cryptovoxels was always so appealing because you had uh, this, I guess, mix of metaverse diehards and developers like Jin and Talk Sam, Daniel from Polygonal Minds, and then you had on the other end of it, you had all of these amazing, talented artists. So when those two came together, they started creating some awesome stuff in world and some really attractive builds and stuff like that to some people. But to me, I'm with you. I do not find like the blocky structure appealing. I kind of find that I think the same way about Sandbox, honestly. I don't really like the pixelated stuff. I would rather have more detailed things like what Somnium Space has to offer. But I understand that other people are attracted to those graphics, so I'm not going to fight against them. I'll just roll with it, kind of. But yeah, there's tons of people in the CV community that say the same thing about Decentraland's graphics.
I have this wish for Decentraland that there is a possibility to make money in world just by spending time in there. And we've discussed this on previous recordings where I was looking for a solution to this. Like, how could you earn money in Decentraland by spending time here? Like some kind of grinding experience, like the Wonder Zone mining of, these meteorites. Do you have a view on this? Do you know what could be done, or maybe like an experience from Axis, or what could possibly happen in that space?
I'm not sure. I think we're so far away from anything like that happening. But every time I come up with something that I think would work, there's some way that you could like game the system to totally take advantage of it if you wanted to. Like, we had this idea way back when. I think this had to do with voting power, where we had talked about. This is like myself and Maddie and um, Rio and some of the other guys were Frankie. We were talking about like, well, for voting power for the DAO, what if instead of how much mana you held, it was how much time you spent in world, or how much time you spent building, or what types of buildings you had on your land. And we were trying to make it come up with some way that was like your contribution. But then you find ways that people could scam that just as easily as like mana type stuff, just by whales taking over. So I don't, outside of like games and stuff, like you mentioned, like Wonder Zone and that, outside of play to earn, I don't see any way someone's going to make a sustainable income in world. Maybe off advertisements, but I think even that's like 2 to 5 years away, 3 to 5 years away.
Hold on, but let's talk, for example, about Hashmask, right? They've introduced this idea of just by holding the asset, you get these name change tokens accumulating in your account. So
Yeah.
it is some kind of system where you own the asset and you earn on it. What if you would, let's say, own land, and because you own it, I think we had this example in the previous call where we said, what if grass could grow on that land, and you could like farm that grass, and if you don't farm it for a long time, it kind of grows all over the place, and people could come and walk through these lands and farm that grass and sell it to Decentraland for a fee. I mean, there could be some kind of mechanism like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. Or some sort of like yield farming just based off the assets you own, just to give them a bit more value. But yeah, I guess that kind of falls into like my play to earn category. Is that type of stuff like farming and world and stuff like that. But I wasn't sure if you were referencing like I think in Second Life and stuff like people get paid to like do like actual jobs like bartend or clean up or stuff like that. So I don't think anyone's going to have an occupation. But yeah, I'm totally with you that someone has to come up with that format, whether it be an independent game developer where they're doing something like the farming stuff you're talking about with the grass, or we have to put something through a DAO vote and get the what do we have in there 21 million mana a year or 200 million, or I forget what the number is, but have so many millions and millions worth of mana in the DAO fund that at some point we're going to have to start putting it to use. And what we use it on is obviously up to the community, but I would like to see something of what you're talking about because we can use those funds from the DAO to do exactly what you're proposing there. And it would be a perfect way to get people in world and perfect way to get people chatting with each other about things. So I'm all for something like that, but it's going to take a lot of effort from the team and the community.
Anorak, could you clarify these funds? Where are those coming from?
Yeah, so there's a vested DAO fund, and I think that there's 220 million mana to be deposited over the stretch of 10 years. So essentially, I think it's like 22 million or 21 million mana that we have in the DAO for funding for different stuff that we can vote to use on a yearly basis. So we can vote to use this, and we can pay like some musician to come in and perform for Decentraland, like like Travis Scott or someone like that, or we can pay to have Elon Musk come in and do a guest appearance about Tesla, or we can use it for like yield farming type stuff or in-world experiences. But I guess then,
But that money
I
is
was gonna say,
that money is inflation, right? Or like, how does this money come about?
I think it was put in during the initial, I guess if you want to call it ICO, whenever they determined how the funds would be distributed. That
Okay.
was put into the contract there, along with like the different percentages of the community, like the ICO and what the team held and everything like that.
So
See if I
over
can pull up the exact stats somewhere.
so over
Mhm.
with you, having like a 25 cents mana price is actually beneficial to all of us because this is how we
Yep.
value that particular fund that everyone benefits from.
Yeah, so I think it was just the coins were vested into this contract, into the DAO, um, from the beginning. So there's no interest or anything like that. It's just however many billions of mana coin were minted or created, a certain percentage of it from the beginning was allocated towards this fund. So they're already there and they're just waiting for us to use based off my understanding. But yeah, you're totally right about a higher mana price benefits us all. And at the time, right now, I don't even hold any mana. I haven't held it during this last pump, so by no means am I shilling mana. But yeah, it is extremely beneficial that mana go as high as it can because that means tons and tons of more money that we can use to pay developers and stuff like that via the DAO.
Oh man, because there is one special set of videos that I do on my channel, and it's really like more on the topic of the economies in Decentraland, and we're kind of trying to touch on the wearables conversation, on the mana conversation, how this might affect the economy and land prices and so forth. I think that's an important aspect of the game, quote unquote. And some people, they have expressed a particular interest in that, right? And it's no wonder, because I realize I'm one of the very few people in Decentraland who came here for the actual world. Like, I've played games before, like Ultima Online when I was a kid, and I just loved it so much, and I missed that experience. And when I've seen Decentraland for the first time, I was like, man, this could be that experience again. And I came purely for that. But after this, I realized that most guys, they come from the crypto space and they're looking to make money, and it's not really about Decentraland for them. For them, like, most people tell me, like, uh, so you're invested in that project, and like, when are you planning to like sell out, you know? And I was like, I don't care about the mana. I don't hold any mana myself either. And I buy stuff. Now I start flipping a few things from time to time because it's also fun, but I'm here for the actual world, right? And most people are not, but it's I've seen a world collapse when the economy are not done properly. And we are like at a time now where everyone is happy to pump mana, and they're happy that external investors are buying a currency that they will never use for a world that they will never visit. They're just speculating on the hype. But there are ways to see that it's actually pretty bad for Decentraland. Like, it's like someone put a razor jacket for sale for 10,000 mana today in the morning when I woke up. This completely changed my life. I had to sell some crypto to place a bid on that thing. I was waiting for a year to have a chance to get it. And unfortunately, the guy did not accept my bid because I tried to get it a bit lower than that, because it's like $2,500 US dollars for an item. But this shows how much effect this mana price has on the economies. And man, like, I don't know where I was going with this. I just wanted to rant about this. I feel like we're making a mistake here of only having a currency that also is an equity in the project. Like, it's also a share in the project. Using it as a currency is like paying for your bread with Tesla stocks. It's a really bad idea, you know, because you'll stop buying bread because Tesla stocks are constantly outperforming everything, right? So I don't know. I'm happy I said this. I think every time I have somebody on the call, I have to vent on that particular topic.
You're fine. I think you're right about people getting excited about like outside investors and stuff tweeting or whatever, showing mana and stuff like that. But yeah, when it comes to like the flipping of items and people just being here for money, I was probably one of the most vocal people during the wearables boom back in like April and May. I was one of the people that were saying, like, you guys are crazy spending all this money on wearables. Like, these aren't the only wearables they're ever going to create, blah, blah, blah. Everyone called me a hater and said I was mad because I only owned land and not wearables. And the whole time I'm telling people and I'm telling myself, like, they're going to make more of these things. You guys are just going to get pissed off later. And sure enough, what happened? Everyone was buying these wearables for thousands and thousands of dollars and trying to corner markets and stuff, and then they got crushed because ETH started going up, so people didn't want to part ways with their Ethereum as easily, and also Decentraland, surprise, started making more wearables. So I think a lot of people got screwed, and like you said, well, not screwed, I guess they were victims of their own demise, but in the end it leaves a bad taste in their mouth regardless. And it's people that were here, and whether or not they were here for the right or wrong reasons, that's not up for me to say, but they came and they were a part of this thing, and then because they got wrecked, they left. And like, to your point, like, if stuff isn't managed correctly or if people don't manage themselves correctly, it can lead to somewhat of a collapse. So I think we saw that a little bit during the summer after the wearables craze died down, but at the end of the day, those aren't really the people that you want long term anyways.
Yeah, like Matty, for example, he is not someone who builds a whole lot. Do you build at all?
No, I don't build at all. I can't. I've tried to learn how to, and I've put myself through the grind doing Blender and stuff, but at the end of the day, kind of sat back and I was like, why the hell am I doing this? I'm never going to be as good as the people that are great at this. And the people that are great at doing this are never going to be as good as me at content creation and marketing and stuff. So I was like, all right, uh, here's what I'll do. I'll focus on the marketing and promotion and stuff, and I'll organize these events and I'll put everything together. And then all I need is for someone to create this, and I'll pay for this build, or I'll work out a way to try and get some of the talented builders like some profits via tip jars and stuff at the events. But I knew I was never going to be a good enough builder after about like 2 weeks of trying Blender or a month trying Blender. I knew I was never going to be really good at it, and that I would be better off focusing elsewhere, and that the people that we're building would be better off long term if I focused on marketing their stuff as well. So that's kind of where I found myself lying in the fold of things of the greater Decentraland ecosystem.
So I have to add one thing here. If there's anyone listening who is just starting out, Anorak, you are referring to like creating stuff in Blender, but we do have a builder tool, and this builder tool
Right.
has been improved on a lot. Like, I don't know if you have seen what has happened in the last building competition for that gallery contest, but what people have done with their with that asset pack, with that gallery asset pack, which is literally just a set of modules that you can kind of drag and drop together into whole buildings. What they have done was absolutely incredible. And I would just like to say, maybe you need to participate in the upcoming building challenge, and we have to see if Anorak, the Anorak who gave up on himself in the Blender tool, who might come back here with the new 2 asset packs. We now have 2 new asset packs, right? With this cyberpunk asset pack for the Ethereum district. Are you going to participate in the building contest, or is there no chance for us to get you into it, man?
No, I do the building contests. I remember years ago, a couple of years ago now, doing them, and I put hours and hours into it, and drag and dropping and stuff like that. And that was back in 2018, and I think that might have been the last builder comp they had up until this one. But yeah, you're right. The asset pack has gotten a lot better recently, so I'll probably be trying my talents out. I should have done the video contest just recently, but I kind of figured that I would let some of the other guys participate. I always feel bad. I don't want to say I feel bad, but I don't want to like directly compete with everyone. And I've done fairly well in the Decentraland and NFT ecosystem that when some of these new people come in, I like to show them support rather than trying to take it away from them. But the building competition, I'm going all out for. I'm going to try and win it. Like you said, you're now throwing shade at me about giving up on myself. So I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board and regain some confidence and come back out and try and win it.
I'm not gonna get out of this conversation without asking you about the Hashmask situation, because I've seen inside your wallet that you own one. What's wrong with you? Why did you buy a Hashmask? I got one. I got one too. I got one too. But you didn't get it for cheap, so you kind of FOMO'd it on.
Yeah. So funny story about this is I have been respecting quarantine and social distancing and stuff for the better part of the last 10 months. If I don't have to go to work, I don't go out. It was one of my best friend's birthday, and he guilted me into going out to the bar. And while I was at the bar with him having a couple drinks, I see the Andrew Steinwold post about hash masks. And they were 0.1, and I was like, oh man, this is going to take off. Like, first of all, if Andrew's tweeting about it, I respect his opinion and his views a lot. So when I see him showing interest, not saying to go buy it, but showing interest, I'm like, all right, this is going to blow up. I'll buy him when I get home. So I get home from the bar and, I let the dog out and I go right to bed. And I wake up and hash masks are not 0.15, not 0.45, but they're 0.9. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I just missed this. I just missed such an awesome opportunity. And I sat there and I watched, I was just tracking the sales and I'm like, all right, if I see people still buying these at 0.9, I'll buy one. But if everything slows down, I'm not going to buy any. And I sat there and watched it, and I refreshed after 10 minutes, and I think in that 10 minutes, 20 some hash masks had been bought. So I was like, all right, I'm aping in. I'm just gonna get one. I'll only get one, and I'll just go from there. And I'm happy I did. I got the NCT. I made more off the NCT coins than I did than I'm going to off the Hashmask, unless I hold it forever and luck out on it. But yeah, I'm happy I aped into it. I mean, what the heck? But yeah, I mean, I don't understand the total appeal to everything. But like I said, I mean, I'm not here to decide what is intriguing to someone and not someone else. So I'll roll with whatever the market tells me.
Man, because I think there's so many of us who are in that situation. I got it for 1.3, and I've looked at it at 0.9. I was like, I don't know. And then literally a couple of minutes later, it was at 1.3, and it just puts this pressure on you. And one thing for me was that, like, I did not understand this whole digital art thing. I actually was speaking out against it, quite frequently, because most of the digital art, these are like one of ones from quote unquote random artists. They're not part of any kind of ecosystem. They're just this, for me, like illiquid, subjective expressions of someone's experience in their lives, but they're not part of an ecosystem. And suddenly, bam, this project comes out, and it's like a finite project, but it has a large enough pool to be a big one. And it was from Switzerland as well, and the art was kind of attractive and systematic, and it really clicked with me. And then there was this lottery ticket idea of, you put in the money and maybe you get the best one, right?
Yeah.
And then I got the most simple one. Like, there is not a single special trait on it. And I'm like,
same here. I got the highest offer I've got is like 0.6 or something like that. And there's some selling for like 20 and 50 and 100 ETH.
So what's the best possible thing that can happen to us? Because I think there is at least another 15,000 people who are in the same situation,
I don't know. I have mine listed for 2 ETH right now, which I feel like is low, but if someone wants to buy it for 2 ETH, then I can 2x on my investment, and really a little bit more than that when you consider NCT coin. But I'll throw it up there. It was never something I intended to hold long term. I just saw from the beginning that, all right, it's regardless of what I think or feel about the aesthetics of this stuff and the meaning behind it, whoever created it put a lot of thought into it. There's so many different little intricacies to the paintings and the rarities and all that stuff that you could tell someone sat down and thought through everything. And I like the like you said, like the lottery mechanic behind it. I've been in, obviously, with like Gods Unchained and NBA Top Shot and all of these other things, Nifty Gateway, where you can buy a pack, or you can buy this and you have a 0.9% chance to get this one of one. People always go crazy for that stuff. It's fun. So anytime I see something like that, I throw my hat into it, hoping I get the best one, but also just because I know that everyone's going to go nuts for it.
Anorak, so to wrap this up, I think there is going to be 50 people who are going to watch this, and maybe like 40 or 30 are going to make it all the way to the end. And these are going to be people from Decentraland, a lot of the people you might know. So this is going to be like, a small community between people who have been around for a long time and then people who just joined. If we want to be positive and if we want to be realistic, should we invest time into Decentraland? What should we do? What should we pay attention to? Should we buy land? Should we up our skills and compete with you in the contests? Should we build a brand? Should we build a network of people on Twitter? Like, what are you going to do so that maybe we can have an inspiration of what we should do? Because I think a lot of us are trying to use this opportunity, like people use the opportunity to ride the train on the mobile internet 20 years ago. Then people came onto like YouTube, and now there is this other opportunity with this Web3, and we are like at the beginning of it, and it feels like we don't want to miss it. And what do you do while we are waiting? Like, what do you do?
I think it depends on what your skill set is. If you're someone who's a experienced and talented developer, I would say to just keep building, because if you're that good, someone's going to either hire you for personal service, or you're going to find a way onto one of these teams like Decentraland or Cryptovoxels or Somnium. Um, but I mean, if you're an experienced dev, I should just say keep building. But if you're someone like myself that's content and a little bit more marketing oriented, for me, it's pretty tough to spend my time promoting stuff in Decentraland, and we're basically still in a beta, and the team themselves doesn't even really promote their brand as well as they could. So for people like me, it's like, all right, I want to spend day after day after day promoting something where the people behind the project aren't even promoting it, because either they think it's not ready or they're getting whatever plan in place. I'm sure they have something behind the scenes, but for whatever reason, they're not promoting it. So then, should I continue to ram my head through this wall promoting it and trying to get more and more guests out to these events, or should I just wait until they reveal whatever grand master plan they have when it comes to bringing people in world? And ultimately, I made the decision that I should probably branch out and start doing some different stuff and dip my toes in different waters, but always keep tabs on Decentraland and what's going on and stuff like that. So that's kind of the approach that I've taken, is that, you know, DCL at one point in time is going to find its time. I mean, it's going to find its place. I don't think it's quite ready, and I don't really think any metaverse is quite ready. Obviously, like we talk about TV and Somnium Space and Sandbox, they're all in the same exact position Decentraland is, and regardless of how much or how little they market their product, they're all still at like the same starting point. So I would say that just keep an open mind about things and branch out, because if you're so focused on Decentraland, you might be missing some other stuff that could either really expand your knowledge where you can apply it to Decentraland, or even just help you make some money so that when stuff gets started up, you have some funds to do whatever you want with in the metaverse, whether it be like creating radio stations or different gaming experiences or art exhibits, whatever you want to do. I would just say, like, I don't think this is our time yet. I think this is crypto's time. I think NFTs are going to find their place closer to the summer, late spring, summer. Now we're seeing people like Cuban and Logan Paul and Lindsay Lohan for God knows whatever reason getting into NFTs. But I don't think this is the time for the metaverse yet. I think we just gotta kind of go with the flow, and this is going to be the crypto bull run here for like the next 3 to 4 months, and then we're going to get into NFTs, and then I think from there it will be the metaverses that get the most attention. And hopefully by then we'll be ready to go with VR, and we'll have not just Decentraland, but multiple blockchain-based metaverse projects that all these new crypto people can start coming over to and experiencing for themselves.
Anorak, thank you for taking the time to have this conversation.
Absolutely, Swiss. Thank you for having me.